Good evening. There has been an awful lot going on. One, I had to sit back, listen, watch, and collate what I needed to collate. It's going to tag people in. It's been really a hectic couple of days with receiving very much information in my inbox about particular people, and it's been alarming and distressing, the contents that comes in your inbox. And I'm supposed to have the answer for everything. What is happening and has been happening the last few couple of days is that we've had some negative behavior going on online. But it's somebody that wants to say something. And the mannerism of the way things are coming out it's alarming. And we have to talk about sexual allegations, exploiting contents. And I have to ask. So many women are complaining of receiving information. But yet, when asked the question, would you go forward and take it to the police? They said that some people don't have the courage to go to the police. Well, I want to say that I've been doing my notes tonight. If you make an accusation online about someone and you name them and you say they've done it to you, I would question as to why is it you haven't taken it to the police, yet you've put your name online and projected everything online. So why not take it to the police? People can face prosecution by putting contents in explicit sexual contents into people's inboxes. The question I had to ask myself is, and I have to read this to you. It says people can face prosecution maliciously sharing sexual explicit pictures or video contents of former partners. They can face prosecution for up to 2 years if you share this information. My question, though, is because of the content that has been sent and shared in people's inboxes, my question would be, who sent the content first? If it was private content and it was between two people, who sent the content out first? Because that is illegal to do. And prosecution, and you can face prosecution to up to 14 years. Anybody receiving explicit sexual contents and seem to be sharing it can be prosecuted. My other question is, if you know that somebody is committing offence, you wouldn't keep sharing content. But my suggestion would be that if you are receiving explicit content of any kind of nature, you are to keep the evidence. Don't forward it on. Log how many times it happens to you and report it. Report it to the service providers because it doesn't become a police issue at that point. What does become a police issue and what you should report to law enforcement and what is considered a crime is child pornography or sending sexual explicit messages or photographs. Or taking photographs of places, that should be private. The other thing is, And I'm reading, and I got these things and I said, for example, if you take photographs in a toilet or something like that, those things, they can't be done. I remember somebody getting arrested for setting up a camera in McDonald's, and it was just a young lad, but now classed as a sexual predator, and has a record just because they thought that would be funny by leaving a video on record while innocent people use the lavatory. It's not good. Stalking and hate crimes is against the law, absolutely against the law. That's when you can bring the law enforcement involved in it. Remember, if you're sharing contents, you can be done for that. Those women that are receiving, and men receiving things like that in their inbox, and people think that I'm siding with somebody. I certainly am not siding with anybody. And I disagree with the amount of material that is being floating around, which brings me to the surface is, if people are sharing explicit content, there should be a log of all of this. And by now, if you don't do anything about it and you just keep slandering someone's name and you do nothing about it, how is that going to solve a crime? How is that going to help law enforcement gather the facts and gather the evidence and sort what needs to be sorted out? If so many people are getting injured and hurt, then my suggestion would be that if all of you was to report all of that, surely something would be done. Hearsay, he said, she said, we don't have the evidence. All we have is contents. But I, for one, wouldn't share any content. I do not want to receive any content in my inbox. Whatever somebody has, if they have a problem with a certain person, then I suggest they take it to the police, because this page is a very peaceful page. It's not here to be ranting and raving and someone sucking up the limelight. You want to talk about mental health and talking about the things that happen in mental health. All of this stirring up is causing so many people to have emotions, and they may not be quite healed yet. So I don't want that content on my page. I want to educate in what you can do to keep safe. If somebody, get to know somebody, if you receive information in your inbox, lock them off, do your private settings, don't accept it. The sympathy though, sympathy. You got to nip it in the bud. If people are doing things to you, take it to the police. Not acceptable. Take it to the police. Make sure you've got enough evidence to take to the police. I can't do this anymore. I literally feel manipulated. Feel that everybody expects me to solve some riddle that's going on that I really don't know much about it, but have received content. And for me, it's against the law. I've had enough of this stuff. It's about being positive. Being positive in here. How can you move forward from, and this is one of the questions, I had a group discussion with some females, And these are females that have been abused in the past. And we had a group discussion about content and actually also about maybe talking to a potential somebody that may have supposed to have done something wrong. There are facts and there are fiction to two different stories. I don't want to lose you where I'm going with this. But what is it like to interview somebody that may have an accusation of, it's a huge accusation of abuse, exploitation. And what is it like to interview somebody like that say they're innocent? You clearly can read headlines of something that happened, but that's one avenue. There's a newspaper article, found guilty, just a suspended, it was suspended and for touching someone, and more accusations come through to say that they've done something really horrendous to certain people. But what is it like to interview somebody who has been accused of all of these things? What must I do in that situation? Well, I've heard the victim's point of view and I've heard the other victim's point of view, because equally, accusations from boyfriend and girlfriend, past exes, which is what it is. They are exes. Only they actually know what happened. Only they do. If people have something to say and an accusation of vile nature, they have to take it to the police. I can't be seen to take sides with such an allegation of that content. I also can't be seen to be taking sides with people that want people to look at that content. You don't ask people to look at the content that is illegal. I'm not a two-faced person. I'll listen to both sides, and I invited for an interview and I didn't get that interview. I just got names of people, like I'm supposed to keep fighting someone's corner. I have no time to fight someone's corner. What I have to say is that the accusations that are made, how long does it have to go on? How long does this hate campaign have to go on? Because for me, how is anyone supposed to heal? The lady that is making the accusation states she is not responsible for the content that has been sent out into people's inboxes. Okay. And she didn't send me the content, so I know that's a true statement. But if people are on the mission to destroy someone's reputation because he or she says that somebody of a boyfriend and girlfriend made an accusation, how do they move forward? If every day is about those individuals, if every day is about what is this? Because, if every day is about what he did and what she did, what he did and what she did, if every day is about that, how do they move forward from this abuse? Because like I said, spoke to our group members today about this situation, and our group members agree. We are people that have been abused ourselves. So we automatically should have our backbones up when speaking to people who have been accused of such accusations. But what we did today as a group, we said we must have come so far forward to not have our shackles raised when talking about these things, because it exposes things for what it is. And it looks like, yeah, we've come a long way. very comfortable speaking with somebody that has an accusation against them. My questions would be, it went on for so long. How was you? I've listened to the recordings. And they simply, some of the recordings, simply ask questions which involve other people. Meaning, was that relationship controlling? Was that relationship insecure? Was there drugs and alcohol around that relationship? There are two sides. But I believe that's for the judge and nobody else. If things happen to you, how do you move things forward? If you are talking about the content every single day. If everything is becoming about cyberbullying and the contents are displayed in inboxes and all over Facebook, my advice to anyone that has had anything untoward happen is to move forward and not give that headspace to people that have hurt you. 12 years, I had the same manipulation, the same background as what somebody is saying today has happened to them. Many of our members have had the same thing happen to them. But if we don't display that kind of hate campaign, what gives them the right to do it? Who's right and who's wrong in the way we handle these kind of situations? For just leaving it to the law and getting on my life, or those that are doing cyberbullying and not getting on with their life, because I don't see it getting on with their life. What it's doing is teaching children also hatred. It's, if the whole world was to follow the way these people want us to act, the whole world will be full of hatred, fatality, revenge, hurt. I read this morning and I screenshotted it. I screenshotted it because it was a threat, and it was a threat to the public, which should be reported to the police. And it says if anyone says any comment towards the contents of a video that a lady was pouring her heart and soul out, she was telling you about her background, and it said under that video, if anybody says anything untowards, that they would be knocking on those doors and paying people a visit. Is that the kind of people that you want backing you, taking matters into their own hands? Crime. Look, if you're going to teach children right, and you're going to educate people or ask people of people that have been exploited, people that have had domestic violence, people that have been raped, and all of that, if you are going to ask people to, you want to save all these women out there and save all these men out there, you know what you say? You say, I don't want people to feel the way I feel. I get that. I say exactly the same thing. I don't want people to feel the way I feel. And everything that happened to me, I don't want people to go through that. But if I'm not acting in the same mannerism as these women and these gentlemen out there, well, actually, I wouldn't call them gentlemen. I would call them thugs. You don't threaten the public because you're sticking up for somebody. I get the fact that you want to portray a positive message and to say, you know what, guys, it's wrong to hurt innocent people. It's wrong to hurt people in that mannerism and bully them and coerce them and groom them, or whatever messages you want to project out there. I get the fact you want to say it's wrong, but to threaten people, to send them images, to take screenshots of people's faces and their names and put them all over the pages, how is that helping the victim? How is it helping the victim? What you're doing is you're representing the victim and the fact that everything is under that victim's name. It looks like they're running the show. Is that the image you want to give the victim? I suggest the victim goes to the police, and I suggest the victim has nothing to do with that page, but except the video was on that page. Every content is on that page, and it's being shared. I worry about that person. I worry about the person who is having information shared about them. I worry about the person who is having to answer to people every single day about these images or about the content, about a certain person and information that they, it's a X and an X, and the whole world is involved with the X and an X, and it comes like the Kardashians. Is that what it is? Is people trying to make a name of themselves because they're jumping on someone's pain? And that's what they're doing. They're jumping on someone's pain. It's not the right way to go around it. You are to report cyberbullying. Look, online social media, cyberbullying has to go to social media. If you're receiving the contents by your phone or by WhatsApp, it can go to your telephone providers. You are to tell them. You're not helping people by constantly using their name and hiding behind social media, saying that a certain person has done this and done that, and using their name. But you don't want to report it to the police. But you've just put your name all over social media. You've just put all the contents on social media. So why wouldn't anyone take that and take it to the police? You should take it and take it to the police. After all, you've just given 400 and something witnesses to your content. And that is what's going on in group to group, in Messenger. I don't want that on my page. I want anybody that is a victim of crime, anybody that is a victim of abuse, anybody that is a victim of cyberbullying, and I said includes explicit information, to take that and report it to the police. I want you women and you men who are being abused and subject to this situation and these things to take it to the police. You can't take it to your own hands. And one person's voice won't be enough. If you're saying there are multiple people, then I'm sorry, somebody's going to have to stand trial. Take it to the police. Take it to the police. I can't say that enough, people. But what you're doing when you exploit people's names on there without giving them a fair trial or fair prosecution, you become responsible for the word slander and libel. Now, when you're teaching about mental health, which is what certain people are trying to do, when you're teaching about mental health, we can teach the effects about mental health. Domestic violence leaves so many people in pain, poverty, homeless, scared, fear, not even afraid to go to the police. I was one of those that were afraid to go to the police. Because if there's children involved, you feel that you're going to lose your children. Now, if there is domestic violence and the police come and they give you a warning and the social services get involved, take that warning. You have a choice, the love for your children or the love for your partner. You've had a life. You have to save those children. and yourself. Don't risk it again and say, we'll be back together again. Everything's going to be okay. It may be, it may not be if you go through counselling. But how many times do you have to be warned before you have your children taken away from you? Be very, very careful. What else can I say about living a life of what these people do? Okay, grooming. Here's an instance. They butter you up, they sweeten you up, they take you, they date you, they offer you this, they show you their wallet. That's a big one. Many women, they home in on money, fame, fortune, glory. Many women home in on that. I'm going to say maybe equal as well. But what comes next? Your friends, they could be taken away from you. The controlling element. They want to know your past, what you're into, what social life you're at. They want to know all about you. You show them your weaknesses and you show them your disabilities and your vulnerabilities. They claw in a little bit more and take a little bit more away from you until you start not knowing your identity. But when you can figure out what these people are like, and you're only going to do that when you find your full strength in you, you're going to recognize how you're being manipulated. I feel I'm being manipulated. I feel that everything is hidden. I feel that I'd love for people to be truthful. If you want to stop a perpetrator from doing this to other people, you have to report it and not wait on the next victim to do it. I reported my offences to the police. It was a very hard thing to do. I said, I almost went back to a perpetrator, even though I had a warning that I may have my children, might jeopardize my children. But I wanted to see if they were sorry. I wanted to see if they would change. I wanted to see if they were going to put any rules and regulations in and conditions on the relationship. And there was. So I took heed that nothing was going to change. And I got up and I walked away. Did I have to live in fear? Yes, I did live in fear for a while. I was threatened. I was also told if I had any other men on my doorstep that you wouldn't want to rock the boat, would you? I remember those words very clearly. Fear stops us from telling the police. But if we don't tell someone, we suffer in silence. I got an injunction on my perpetrator because nobody wants to keep talking about these people. We want to escape away from these people. So I got an injunction, a non-molestation order. I can't say the word properly. I got an injunction against the perpetrator. But that was only because I reported the offence. An offence that left me with gashes on my head, that left me with bruised legs, that left me to the point where I literally, and I'm glad this is over hours, I got to the point where I wasn't even allowed a doctor. No doctor could look at me down below. Nothing like that. I could be in so much pain and I wasn't even allowed a doctor. So if you're talking about horse behavior, controlling and grooming into the way somebody wants you to think, believe me, I've seen it. Taking away your friends. I wasn't even allowed around my own culture because I was of this colour and they was of a different colour. Telling me I had to ask permission if I wanted to go out with my friends. Telling me what kind of clothes I could wear. Also making me get on the phone to turn around and tell somebody I wasn't allowed to be their friend anymore, whether that was a male or whether that was a female. I had to eliminate my friends. food would be labelled with his name on it. Now, there is a lot of damage people do to you. These are a lot of memories that you carry. But if you want to help women out there and men out there, men are to recognize the signs, know that you're in an abusive relationship, know that you're being abused. How do you recognize you're being abused? Even if you're not in an abusive relationship and it's coming online to you, know that you are being abused and you have the right to do something about it. Know the signs, know the symptoms. Know that you have a right to live life free of pain, free from control, free from manipulation. You came into this world free from fear. And we have learned this fear throughout our lives. And the perpetrators that do these things to us know how to home in on your vulnerable spots. They know what you're looking for, what kind of conversation you are looking for. They know how to play the sympathy card. They know also how to tell you about their bad past relationship. Ting! Listen to the red flags. If anybody is criticizing their ex and portraying nasty behavior and they can't let it go, they can't let it go. They're belittling them. They're making out everything was about their ex. But they see no fault in anything that they done, which brings me to the point of those people that are having accusations made on them. There must be something, some kind of behavior pattern that made them do what they are accused of. Again, I also want to say to you, if you have a relationship, and this is really important, people, don't watch pornos. You may have a fetish. People may have a fetish, but when you are watching pornos, that relationship's not about you. It's about somebody else and somebody else's fetish. How is it about you? If you want to be special and you want it to be a relationship that doesn't cross the margin, then don't watch porno with your partner. You should be able to arouse yourselves, but you shouldn't bring other people into your relationship. Because when it goes tits up and you say that he gave you an infection and he did this and she did that, you've only got yourself to blame, haven't you? Because you just opened the door to saying that you have a world of free of sexual, whatever you want to bloody call the bloody stuff. That's where I went wrong in my life. I went wrong in my life because I thought everything was about sex. Now, a certain person will sit there and say that they have a sexual, what's the word? I can't find the right words. Hold on, I'm trying to get this right. Certain people will say they have sexual fetish. Now, when you've been abused and these people want these fetishes, majority of the time, those that have been abused would carry out these fetishes because they want to be loved. They think that's the way to show love. But the minute you involve somebody into your relationship is the minute you lose respect. It's the minute you've lost you. The minute you've lost control of your relationship too. You can't expect somebody to be faithful when you're bringing in pornography into your life. When you're bringing in other relationships, when you're bringing in other people, third parties, you can't expect people to have any respect for you. I can tell you that when you are abused, you do go through these things thinking this is the way to be loved and this is the way that what men want. Because you've seen it. You started watching those images through watching pornography. Isn't that where it came from in the first place? I first watched my first pornography probably about the age of, I think, 18. But I knew it floated around with magazines and this, that, and the other. I knew that. Well, I think it was Playboy back at the time. Isn't that where we learned all this stuff from? Look at the Wolf of Wall Street. The minute you start including drugs into all of this stuff is the minute you've got no self-respect, no self-esteem. If you want to treat a woman or a man as a king or queen, then you don't involve other people into your love lives, because that is where the possession starts coming into it. That's where the trust is lost. That's where conditions on your relationships start coming into play. I mean, I've heard some recordings to say, why do you want to watch pornography? Now, that question that I heard would be actually a right statement. Why would you want to watch pornography? Why? Take time to explore your own partners. Take time to explore your own self. But be careful nowadays, because the pornography that you are watching contains a lot of underage sex, illegal trafficking, illegal content. If I was you, I would never click on it. I have had relationship breakups in the past because people were watching pornography. I felt I wasn't good enough. I literally felt I wasn't good enough. Body image, body conscience, the whole thing. I figured I needed to have blonde hair, big tits, and that was the way men wanted us, because it was the images that they projected on the TV back then. And you have to remember, I remember that the US of A always wanted to have a newspaper, The Sun, page 3, exploiting women. We always wanted perky boobs, but we might not have wanted to go on to the magazine, but people wanted to do that for the money and the fame and the glory. And that is where you started to, at my age, started to know about how to sell your body or how to get men, because you watched all of these things. Look at Katie Price or Jordan, whatever her name is. Look at her. Relationship. All this fame and glory. I really have to say, she's a broken woman. She is a broken woman. Those kids that she's got are watching her going from relationship to relationship to relationship, sexual content all the time. If that's the image you want to project to the public, that's the image you want your children to see. Beauty is in the beholder of the beholder, right? Fake makeup, fake lips, liposuction. Leave your body alone. Be blessed with the body you're born with. I was in a dentist surgery the other day, and I looked at this woman, and her lips were so swelled up. And I thought, she's had that 30-minute just injection thing to plump up her lips. And she looked like a duck. Why can't people be satisfied with their body? Why do people have to make videos and send them out publicly to people? Keep your private lives to yourselves. And I'm going to get back to explicit content. Another way of manipulating your partners, isn't it? When you're in a relationship, take videos of them and pictures of them and nude papers, and then when you're finished with them, you still got them on your phone. But you know what? You've pressed send, and you sent it to one person, and it goes on to the next and the next and the next. But remember, if you send that content out, you are liable for that content. Be warned when your children are watching, or you receive anything in your WhatsApp of any sexual or with children in it. Before you open it, don't open it. Don't open it. Because you can be in trouble by a simple share of a WhatsApp image of children as well. You've really got to be careful nowadays. You really do. We say abusive relationships. They're abuse, domestic violence, the circle of violence. I screenshot that today just to remind people what that was about, because they get you at such a... You can... 12 years. How did you do 12 years? It was like, if anybody's watched the film Tina Turner, what's love got to do with it? When you ask somebody, why did you stay in a relationship for so long? 2 years, 12 years, 1 year, 3 years. It is tough to get out of those relationships. And before you know it, time has gone. But you wake up one day, hopefully alive. But when you get into those relationships and they keep taking away your life, you allow it. You allow it. It's what you allow in life. You can't keep blaming perpetrators their entire... You've got to take some responsibility of the things that you give out. The things that you've given to them. That you're not responsible for somebody who forces themselves on you. If you said no, you're not. Possessive nature destroys people. Making them watch things that they shouldn't destroys people. Sharing your loved ones, people that you love, destroys your reputation, destroys your self-esteem, destroys your relationship. I vowed never to watch another pornographic movie, and I have done in the past, because that's what the men wanted. But I won't watch them now, because I realise that I'm worth so much more than having another person involved, whether it's virtual or not, into my space. Have self-respect. I am so done with the past couple of days and the contents being received in the inbox. I'm going to read one out. I'm not going to say the name, but I'm going to read one out. I got the... it's hurtful. It really is hurtful. And it's... Here we go. Found the message. This is a message to anyone of a certain person's fan. Anyone, and I mean anyone, even if you try to intimidate the girl on this page, I can swear your homes will be getting a visit. I won't mention the names on there. That's intimidating the girl. Threatening behaviour is intimidating that female who says she is a victim of unwanted behaviour. That kind of threat is intimidating and isn't doing that victim any good. So if you are a victim of crime, abuse, unwanted behaviour that you know is a criminal offence and you know you wouldn't want it for your children, please report it to the necessary authorities. That is my advice to you. Not to take matters into your own hands and not to get other people to do dirty work on your behalf, and not for other people to do dirty work on behalf of other people that are victims of crime. It's not your job. You can't set that example. What example are you setting to the children? You can't set that example. Think about your parents as well. When you go and commit a crime, you know, if your parents are still alive and you're in your 40s and you're representing somebody and you say, you know what, if you hurt them, I'm going to get my own back. Think about your parents as well. You're representing those parents, your own parents, when you are projecting hate and also venom and violence and threats. Your parents' reputation equally is on the line. And you also put their life on the line also. Because if you can go out there and go and do revenge, there will always be somebody else that want to go and do revenge. And you be very careful it doesn't come back at your family or your friends. So revenge, you should never take matters in your own hands. Can't state it enough, guys. If anyone's done anything to you under that you're putting out here saying people are doing things to you, if they have done these things to you, I'm going to tell you, report it. And the person that want to come back to me and say to me that they didn't do it, I'm going to say, take it to the court. Report it. If people are doing equally as you're saying things about them and they're saying things about you, report it. Take it to the police. Have your day in court. Leave me out. I like a debate. I really do. I don't mind talking to people and I don't mind talking about things, but I'll be damned if I take sides. Because from a victim, I've been through it. So it's very important to listen to people that make allegations. But I heard another account and I'm hearing too much. And all I can say is report it. Report it to the right people, not to me, not to anybody else. Go and report it to the right people. What you can do in here is say, and this is what this group was about, is saying, you know what? How do we move forward? What it felt like? I asked the question today, would anybody send pornographic images of their ex to somebody or out in public? The answer was no. It would be absolutely wrong and disgusting. Even if that ex has done something unwillingly and unwanted to you, you can talk about it, but you can't project their names. You can talk about how hurt you were, but you can't use their names. You can talk about circumstances, but you can't use their names because it's not fair. They don't have a defense. They may not even know what you're talking about. But the people that done it to you, they know what they've done. If you make an accusation, they know. They better hope they don't get caught. But it will all come out in the end because karma is a bitch. Karma is a bitch. What you do to others, you will get done back. So be kind. Please, ladies, gentlemen, heal. Don't let your enemies consume your everyday life. Don't focus on them and what they've done to you. Focus on what you can do to overcome and how you can help somebody else heal. How you can help somebody else. But if you focus and give all your time and energy on the people that have hurt you, you won't have a life. It's taken me 46 years to recognise that. I'm now 49. Tells you I got my life back because I recognised my value when I learned to say no to the abuse and no to the behaviour of what other people were doing to me. That was what you call getting me groove back. That's what you call owning my own space. You can't dwell on these people. They don't deserve your time. They don't deserve your energy. They just don't deserve that reward of you sitting down in a pit, heavy state of depression while they're out living their life onto the next victim. What you need to do, report their behaviour. If you're frightened, I get that. I understand that. There is the women's refuge and there is men's helplines out there too. Men experience domestic violence every day. Men experience mental abuse, mental torture. Women are worse for it too. Sometimes. Where does it come from? You have no rights, no wrongs in relationships. You have different upbringings and different experiences from different past relationships. And because of the past relationships, that is what you take into your new relationships unless you can say, you know what, my past has no room for my future. My past has no room for my future. Any squabbles your exes may or may not have, they have no room. Take it to a solicitor. Take it to the court. Don't bring it into your new life. Don't bring it into your life. When you consume hate to your people, when I broke up with my ex-husband, I had women sending me contents, messages, pictures of her, them, and my ex, well, still my husband at the time, actually. Pictures of my husband. They sent that to me. So not only was I dealing with the breakup of my marriage, I was now dealing with the breakup of spending Christmas alone. I was also dealing with the fact that I've now got women sending me images into my inbox of them. I've got people telling me that my ex-husband was having affairs on me. I had four different women come forward to me and tell me only after the husband had left home. So why didn't they tell me during? But those women that sent me those, all it was a hate campaign because they didn't get what they wanted or didn't get treated the way they expected to be treated from my ex-husband. So they decided to spread a hate campaign, come back to the person, come back to the ex, which happened to be me. And you know what I said to that? Take it up with him. He's past tense. I closed that door and I blocked it up. I blocked it off. And I was able to move back because I made a decision to move forward away from that life, to move forward and end that relationship. I made a decision to anybody that wanted to tell me anything about my ex. I said, no, thank you. That is past. I am moving forward. But I wish them all the well. I wish them well in the future. And you talk about protecting women from the kind of behavior that I had to endure. Well, there are some good elements about the exes and some bad elements about the ex. But it is for that woman to find out if they feel that they can do a better job, especially when they have heard the rumors themselves. If they think they can do a better job, or maybe they could. Maybe there's that chemistry. Because sometimes when you break up from your relationships, you break up for a reason, so the chemistry is not there. So let it be. And if they get with somebody else and the chemistry is there, bless that. Just hope she didn't go through what you did. Maybe she can tame the lion. You never know.